Hello and welcome to Faultlines. I'm your host Shahzad Raza. As we know what is happening between Iran and Israel. Israel attacked Iran. It was an unprovoked attack violating every norms, ethics, international law and the UN Charter, and Iran responded as well in self-defense, and the entire world, almost every country in the world except a few which are very close to Israel, they condemned Israel. China, Russia, Pakistan, and many other countries which have their say in the international affair, they basically condemned Israel and asked for the de-escalation and asked for no more strike as well. But Israel was adamant, and it was not for the first time that Israel violated the international law or the ethics and the norms. In the past, Israel attacked inside Iran, attacking the senior leadership of Hamas. Before that, they targeted the senior leadership of Hezbollah. They tried their level best to, keep Iran from attaining the nuclear power, although Iran never claimed that it's going to manufacture the nuclear bomb. But Israel was adamant, and the right-wing leadership in Israel, maybe because of their own problems, compulsion, and speaking to their right-wing voters, they tried everything to maintain popular in their own country, and they had no remorse, they had no justification for whatever they are doing against the people of Palestine. And now it was unprecedented attack against Iran, but Iran responded and responded well. The regional countries, they asked Israel not to go any further. Even the United States of America, it's calling for the de-escalation of the situation, because it will have far-reaching regional and global implications. So what we are going to discuss in this program, what is going to be the end game of this ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel, and how it would impact the regional countries including Pakistan, and how it would disturb the global order of the states. In the studio, I'm being joined by Dr. Ahmed, a leading scholar in Pakistan and the former journalist as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab.
Thank you.
And Professor Shahzad Anwer Cheema, she's joining us from Prague, a very known IR expert, and very soon Ambassador Ali Sarwan Naqvi would also be with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Shahzad, for your time as well. Dr. Stark, to you. And as we were speaking just before the program, that you are also writing a book on the Middle East, and I'm sure that this is going to be a very interesting chapter, what is happening exactly right now at this moment when we are discussing situation between Iran and Israel. But do you think that any pressure or leverage the Middle Eastern countries, because almost every country is Islamic country and a Muslim country, and no matter what relations they are having at the moment with Israel, but at least for their own peace, security and prosperity, they would never like to have a full-scale conflict or war between the two countries in the Middle East. So you think that these countries, and they are important countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, I mean, they can play some sort of a role, or they can pressurize the United States of America to hold Israel back, to go any further in its jingoistic design, what exactly we are having or we are seeing at the moment, Dr. Saab.
So, you see, thank you for inviting me. Basically, what we are seeing in the Middle East is a country that knows no bounds. It violates international law with impunity, and since October 2023, Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, has disrupted peace in South Lebanon, and has created a mayhem for the entire region. And if we see that just a month ago, President Trump, who aspires for peacefully resolving the Ukraine conflict, doesn't intend war. He was in the region, visited Saudi Arabia, then came to Qatar and finally the UAE, signing so many contracts, investment deals, and the talk was of economic development, foreign direct investment in these countries.
Right.
And America first or MAGA, the agenda of his own government getting Gulf investments into America. So, on the one hand, the regional trend in the Gulf and the global leadership is trying to like focus on progress, development and prosperity of the region and their own homelands, and you have one country, Israel, which is waging one war after another. So, it is crystal clear that Netanyahu is a warmonger. He destroyed peace in its neighborhood, demolished Gaza, death and destruction. Then he invaded South Lebanon, disrupted progress and peace over there, attacked also Iran unprovoked, and again what we are seeing in the last few days is another escalation, a regional escalation that does not suit Pakistan, nor does, more importantly, any Gulf country or the Middle Eastern country. So, I think Israel is singled out because of the behavior of Netanyahu's regime as a country that is not for peace, only for war. It creates conflicts and it configurates conflicts, and sometime even acting differently than its long standing Western allies. And in this case, I think I see some kind of a difference over time emerging between Israel and European countries, and perhaps between Israel and the United States.
But we have seen several high level contacts. I mean, a few minutes from now, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had a telephonic conversation with Turkey leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and they discussed situation in the Middle East and the conflict going on between Iran and Israel, and both the leaders, they basically expressed their serious concerns that how situation escalated and where we would go from there. You think that the leaders like Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Mr. Erdogan, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, the leadership in Qatar, United Arab Emirates, I mean these are the powerful Muslim countries. If they manage to develop some sort of consensus or come up with a solution that how situation can be de-escalated, you think that they have a much powerful say convincing the United States of America, because it seems at the moment that the United States of America would have a final say to stop Israel from its aggressive design?
Well, Shahzad, thank you for asking this question. Listen, Iran is a neighboring country. It is a brotherly Muslim country, and throughout our history, whenever we have been in trouble, all of these Muslim countries have stood with us, and it is an hour of need for the Iranians, and I think diplomatically, morally, we need to stand by Iran in this very difficult hour. It is also clear to us that militarily, I think Israel has an edge. It has proven on the ground, but this does not mean that Iranians cannot withstand the Israeli onslaught. So, what we are looking at is that the Israelis are saying that they would like to continue this conflict. Iranians have said that they are going to resist, and they, in self-defense, whatever options they have, they will exercise those options. What should we do as a brotherly neighbor and a Muslim neighbor? I think we need to coordinate with all the regional states in the Gulf,
right,
Saudi Arabia in particular, Turkey on the other hand, and we need to use bilateral forums as well as multilateral forums such as the OIC to stand together and then use our diplomatic means, whatever clout that we have in the Western world, especially in Washington DC, just to de-escalate. So, de-escalation, diplomatic solution and international cooperation are the three options available to us.
Very right, very right. But you think that President Donald Trump, which is taking time and again credit of de-escalating the tension between Pakistan and India, and time and again he made public statements that it was he who withheld the two countries from going for the full-scale war, and he said that I use trade to avoid a nuclear conflict. Time and again, I mean you must have heard his statement as well. You think that this is another opportunity for President Donald Trump to emerge as a global leader who can resolve even the most complicated issues as of this is between Israel and Iran?
I think we can take a clue from his conduct during the India-Pakistan 4-day war and whatever he has been stating ever since. I think around 8 or 9 times I have personally heard him praising Pakistan's strong leadership. And eventually sense prevailing upon the two countries, and he was always appreciative of Pakistani leadership. So what we can argue is that just a month ago he was in the region, and his discourse ever since assuming power has been to resolve conflicts, to end wars in Ukraine, and he claims credit for ending the 4-day war between Pakistan and India as a big claim. He is a world leader, and I think given his business background, transactional approach, he would like this conflict to resolve as early as possible. And I think so far from US Secretary of State Marco Rubio's statement that whatever Israel has done, it has done unilaterally, and it has not done anything with the American consent. I think it was clear 3 days ago, and still we are waiting for clarity on the part of the Trump administration, a united stand, because remember they were going to hold the I think 7th or 8th round of direct talks with the Iranian counterparts in Oman tomorrow.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad, Dr. Saab, that you mentioned the talks between United States of America and Iran on whether Iran could have the peaceful nuclear power or not. The question is, Mr. President Donald Trump had a plan. I mean, he may have a plan that how he would lure Iran into abandoning what he believes a plan of developing a nuclear device, but Iran always claimed that it has the nuclear capability, but for the peaceful purposes, for to fulfill its energy needs. The question is, President Donald Trump had a plan and the negotiations were underway, but Mr. Netanyahu, he sabotaged each and everything. And you just mentioned that not long ago President Trump was in the region. He secured hundreds of billions of dollars deals with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with Qatar, with United Arab Emirates. Now, this unilateral action of Israel, it sabotaged each and everything. How President Donald Trump would react to this, because he was time and again telling to the people of the United States of America that he's the man who is making America great again, who is bringing the economic prosperity back to America. But with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, you think that all those lucrative billions of dollars of deal would materialize in any time in near future?
You see, Shahzad, sometime what happens right before our eyes, I think the truth sometime lies behind, in details. And I think we should look at the complexities and intricacies in this very, very dangerous, potentially dangerous situation. I still think that Netanyahu basically has embarrassed Trump. Trump never visited Israel this time, although it was a tradition that whenever an American president would come to the Middle East, he would or she would first go to Israel and then visit the rest of the countries. This time he ignored Israel. And he ignored, in my opinion, for a reason, because of the behavior that Netanyahu, precisely for domestic political reasons, has taken in Gaza, in the region, and vis-a-vis Iran. And I think Netanyahu claims that he has undertaken a preemptive strike. What was the danger Iran was posing? This IAEA reports, you go back 10 years, almost the same thing they were talking about. So Iran was already squeezed, regionally, because it had lost support of the groups that it used to support in the region. But then out of the blue, suddenly you have this attack on Iran. And I think we will have to see, it's a very, very potentially dangerous situation, And I think if it prolongs, then it will create a lot of regional instability, and it will damage the prospects of progress and peace that emerged just a few weeks ago with President Trump's visit to the region.
But you think the very first reaction from the United States of America that came from US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who very categorically stated that United States of America had no part whatever Israel did to Iran. I mean, the first attack Israel conducted, the Americans, they backtracked. They said that we had nothing to do with the attack. It was a unilateral action on part of Israel. Was he, trying to, keep United States of America away from the conflict, or they had some sort of a concern that Iran might attack some American interests in the region, as they had more than 20 military air bases in the Middle East. So was that a statement to protect the American soldiers, or were they really concerned that Israel had gone too far against the expectations or wishes of the United States of America?
Well, Shahzad, President Trump is a very strong leader. He is strong because of the landslide victory at home. He is strong because they still dominate the Congress, the Republican Party. And he has made quite bold moves, across the world, including the controversial tariff. So, but the problem is, once a conflict is initiated, a war begins, then it's a vicious circle. Things escalate with the passage of time, and I think some of the responsibility will be on the Iranians as well, that they should try their best not to escalate this conflict, because escalation of conflict is precisely what Israel under Netanyahu wants in this region. And de-escalation, every other country, including Pakistan, the Gulf states, United States of America, Europeans, more than anybody else, want in this region.
Right. Professor Shahzad Anwer Cheema, can you hear me?
Yes, Shahzad, I can hear you. Yes, a little.
All right,
There is a little distortion, but I can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry for that, but my question is, if you can hear me clearly, that Israel is breaking and has been breaking one threshold after another. They attacked Hezbollah leadership, they eliminated Hamas leadership, and earlier they also attacked Iran, and in the years before they were trying level best through their cyber attacks to against the Iranian nuclear facilities, and now they have broken another threshold. Is there any stopping to their one-sided unilateral action violating every norms, ethics and international law, or you think that Israel can go any further, or is there any other threshold left?
No, I don't think they have any norms and they have any morality or ethics, nor the Zionists, nor the RSS, nor the Nazi Banderites, and we are facing these three threats across the globe. So they don't have any norms and they don't have any morality to begin with. The only thing which they want is to eliminate each and every threat, their own preconceived threat, the threat which they think that that country or that entity is a threat to them. They just want to eliminate it. And Netanyahu categorically said, like week ago, that he wants the Libya solution for Iran. So what does that mean? That Libya solution is that he wants the regime change. He wants the top tier decapitation, and he wants the defunct and ill functioning Iran, which can easily be maneuvered and manipulated. And that's what he's trying to do with the help of the entire broader West. And I can also like see that Iran was caught a little off guard in that, and we can argue about that. That if there was a threat, and if we start with our reservation from Premier Raisi even from his death, so there are there are reports coming out of Iran that Iranian intelligence has been infiltrated. They themselves admitted that due to the Syria and the weak posture of Syria and the weak economic condition of Syria, It had a setback on Iranian intelligence because they were in connection and they were sharing information through to and fro, but they have not done anything. And the attack, this attack also shows that the internal help was there, the internal support was there to facilitate that attack. And that is a very alarming thing, that how those trucks can be entered in Iran, and the similar trucks which were used in the Russian attacks, the similar trucks, they entered in Iran, they were parked in the vicinity of the target, and then the drones were automatically flew out of those trucks. And
Of course, Professor Cheema, you just mentioned that they are, even they, still, they are anticipating a regime change in Iran. You think that whatever happened in Syria, a regime change and very unprecedented, very shocking to many countries in the Middle East. The ouster of Bashar al-Assad, it solidified the stance or the thinking of people, the policy makers and executors in Israel and United States of America. The same could happen in Iran. Or if are they right in their thinking at the moment? Is Iran going to be another Syria or no?
I apologize, I couldn't hear your voice. I don't know, there is some technical issue there, so I couldn't hear what the
I'm
second part
saying
of
is
your question.
if you hear me clearly at the moment, what I'm saying is whatever happened in Syria not so long ago. So the policymakers in Tel Aviv and Washington, are they thinking that the same exercise can be implemented in Iran as well?
Yeah, it's the same exercise. It's the similar modus operandi. It's the similar tactics, and the reason behind all those similar exercises is to strengthen the position of Israel. So here we can have a question that why Israel is so much important for the broader West, and what function Israel is doing for them, which no one else can do. I mean, if you need a proxy here, I can see there could be other potential candidates for that. Even Jordan were created for that. The Egyptians can little bit support in that. So why Israel, and why Israel is so blatantly and so belligerently defaming not only the name of the or the fame of the Western people, but also deteriorating its own well-being, its own cultivated image, or its own crafted position. So it's all it's beyond my understanding that why Israel is being given so much impunity, which is self-destructing, which is self-destructing for Israel, which is self-destructing for the entire world, especially for the broader West. So now we have to see that how Iran can retaliate to that, because Israel wants a broader war. So if Iran will fall into that trap, a long war of attrition, that's what Netanyahu wants right now. Netanyahu wants that Israel should retaliate in such manner that his own victim standpoint could be refurbed again, which has been marginalized due to Israel's own actions. So he just want to have
Right,
that
right.
victimhood status again, just by killing few more civilians, Israeli civilians. So right now the position of Iran is that Iran retaliate, then Iran will facilitating the Netanyahu's agenda. And B, if Iran will not retaliate, then it has a safe face keeping issue. So it could be handled how Russia has handled the situation. They just changed the name of the military operation after having that attack on their nuclear triad. They changed the military operation to enter terror operation, but they have decided not to go all out even after being crossed the biggest red
Right,
line.
right.
So this, the biggest red line of Iran has been crossed. There is no doubt about that. The only option Iran now can use to just make itself like a nuclear power. That's my personal view. I mean, it could
All
be
right. Taking lead from your last comment that I mean, according to your estimation, I mean that's the only option left for Iran. Dr. Ishtaq, now the question is, and I mean layman question, common people they are asking the same question, Dr. Ishtaq Saab, that according to the nuclear watchdogs, the international NGOs which are closely monitoring which country is developing a nuclear device or which country has the nuclear capability without declaring itself to be a nuclear state, unlike Pakistan, India and other countries. The question is, if Israel, according to some estimation, Israel has between 200 to 400 nuclear devices. I mean, they can strike, I mean, each and every country, almost each and every country in the world, given their technological advancement and their missile technology. So if Israel can have the nuclear capability, a nuclear warhead, why can't Iran in self-defense? And you must have heard the statement of Mr. Netanyahu, who said that we will not allow Iran to have a nuclear device because it would threaten the security of the people of Israel. So what about the security of people of Iran? If Israel is having the same nuclear power which it would not like, or its allies would not like Iran to have.
Well, you see, the thing is that unlike Pakistan, India and Israel, Iran is a signatory to Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So, first of all, it has to withdraw from the treaty itself, which automatically will have implications. You know, Iran has been facing economic sanctions for a long time now. North Korea did. It withdrew from the treaty because it faced a potential American attack with bases in South Korea. So, at one time it back in the 90s it withdrew from the treaty, and then it developed the missiles as well as the nuclear warheads. So, first of all, Iran has to withdraw from the treaty, and then IAEA will not be able to monitor whatever takes place in Iran. Is Iran capable of doing that? It is up to Iran, to do so. But this is a larger question. Like the kind of situation that we are facing and the belligerent behavior that Israeli leadership has shown in the last 2 years or so, what options are left for countries like Iran then? We should be grateful to God that Pakistan back in 1998 developed nuclear weapons, declared itself a nuclear weapon state, and then we had a 4-day war with India, and then a ceasefire was maintained. All the world was concerned, the Americans intervened, and then a ceasefire is in place. And even the talk of Kashmir and a third party mediation, we are back there. Things evolve, Shahzad, with the passage of time. We are seeing now the conflict with Iran. We will see how it evolves, but you never know in the future. After all, 1971, East Pakistan was separated, became Bangladesh. How many years passed? Half a century passed. Now Bangladesh is getting closer to Pakistan. The leader fled to India, sought the exile. Sheikh Mujib, who created this separate country, his face is eliminated from the currency notes, and the Awami League, the founding party, is banned. So, history teaches us certain lessons. It moves with the passage of time.
True that.
So, today the Iranian regime is in trouble. Of course, when the regime is in trouble, it also has people, it rules over people. So, Iran as a nation is in trouble, and which is why Pakistan and with all its allies, neighboring countries, organizations, we should try to de-escalate whatever diplomatic clout we have in the region with our allies and friends, and obviously at the international level. We did a wonderful job yesterday when our permanent envoy in the UN spoke as bravely as the Iranian envoy did. And I think this is the spirit that countries which are dignified, which have honor, and which have a proud history, they behave in testing times like this. And I think this is the path that we should embrace, and we should pray for the great Iranian nation that they will survive, in this very, very difficult hour, and ultimately the warmongers, the aggressors, they are defeated in public perceptions, in international public opinion, and I think Israel is walking on a very tight rope. It has lost the battle, the public opinion battle. It will lose the battle on the ground as well in the end.
Okay, in the end, and we are being joined by Hamdan Khan, researcher and analyst. Thank you very much, Hamdan Khan Saab, for your time. The question, and I would Dr. Cheema and Dr. Ishtiyaq to answer this question subsequently, but Hamdan Khan, to you first. What is going to be the end game now? Because the people are asking question that Israel, struck Iran. Iran responded. Now the world capitals and the world leaders, they are approaching each other, contacting each other, how de-escalation would take place. But still, it's a very big question whether Israel would listen to all those calls and all the calls from especially its allies from the United States of America. Is there going to be the de-escalation? So what is going to be the end game of this ongoing conflict between the two Middle Eastern countries?
Thank you, Mr. Shahzad, for having me and for asking this question. But I believe that the end game here is that Iran wants regime change. Israel wants a regime change in Iran, and then it wants to degrade Iran's capabilities, military and especially the nuclear capabilities, to an extent where it is no longer a threat to the Israel. So the calls for de-escalation, I don't think they are. I think they are going to fall on deaf ears, and Israel is not going to pay any significant heed to these calls. Ultimately, because what we know is that there have been few media reports suggesting that U.S. gave a go-ahead, U.S. gave a green light, indirect green light to this Israeli military action. So what we are at the end going to see that Israel is hardly going to pay any heed to any calls coming from anywhere, and at the end of the day, it's going to be an all-out war, which is what we are rightly at this moment seeing, and then it would become an even bigger war. It would become Iran would target. Iran has already targeted their infrastructure in Israel. Now Israel is targeting their energy side, and then Iran is perhaps going to respond with targeting their energy side. So this all-out war, as I previously mentioned, is perhaps going to culminate, or at least Israel would prefer that it is going to culminate into a regime change and then significant degradation of Israeli military and nuclear capability.
Exactly. Hamdan Khan, practically speaking, despite all its might, military prowess, and support and backing of the Western powers, Israel could not subjugate in real terms the people of Palestine who have no weapons, no backing at all in their own backyard. Even when the people of Palestine could not be handled by the country like Israel, how they can really try to mold Iran according to their own wishes and expectation, the country which is economically powerful, the country which is self-sufficient, the country which has allies like Pakistan, China, and to some extent India. How would they going to impose their own opinion on the country like Iran? I mean, it's a wishful thinking which is going to be evaporated very soon.
That it's really difficult. Perhaps they can destabilize the regime, they can destabilize the country, but when it comes to winning hearts and minds, it's never going to be possible. And we already know that there is kind of unity, what we are hearing from different reports and sources, that there is kind of unity within Iran, a very large-scale unity within Iran against all this these Israeli attacks. So I fully agree with you, but what I am arguing here is that they would like to create instability, and what we have seen that there are some factions within Iranian population who perhaps don't want the regime to survive, and they can probably be a staging ground, or they can probably be the people who would Israelis be focusing on to have their objectives meet.
Right. Professor Cheema, same question. What is going to be the end game, according to your estimation, of this ongoing conflict? We just lost communication with Professor Cheema. Dr. Ishtaq, if you like to answer this question, what do you think is going to be the end game?
I think this war will continue for some time. Israel's game plan would be to drag the Americans into the conflict, and I think Iranians should be clever enough not to spread the conflict to involve other countries, especially great powers. I also think, ultimately, the Israeli design is to become a hegemon in the Middle East. And I think it is in the legitimate and the pragmatic interest of the Gulf nations in particular, the Middle East, other countries in general, and countries which are neighboring Iran or very in the proximity of the Gulf. It is in their collective interest not to let Israel spread its power, regional clout. It's in our collective interest, because here is a tiny country which has been creating mayhem for the Palestinian population ever since 1948. It has waged 2 wars against the Middle Eastern countries in 1967 and 1973, and now it is waging one war after another. And I think this is a hegemonic behavior which is unprecedented in history.
Hegemonic, hegemonic and demonic.
Yeah, you can't let a single country which is created artificially out of the Second World War or the First World War, after the First World War, the Balfour Declaration. We should not let such a country which is a religious state only for the Jews to create mayhem in the region, tragedies for nations across, and try to dominate a region which has huge historical background.
When you say we, who are we? Who would not allow to?
I can say that when I use we, I use my Muslim identity as well, my regional identity as well, and identity that is linked with the history of Arabia, with the Indus civilization. And I think this is a hugely significant component of the global population and geography.
Right.
It cannot be blackmailed and be hostage to the genocidal ambitions of a very ambitious or weak, perhaps in my opinion a very weak leader, and who is taking his own nation hostage and the entire region and its population hostage for a very heinous kinds of designs that he has in his mind.
Very right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ishtaq Ahmed, for being with us. Thank you so much, Hamadan Khan. Thank you so much, Dr. Shahzad Anwer Cheema, for your time as well. And thank you so much, viewers, watching the program. Good night and Khuda Hafiz.